Welcome to the Leading Well podcast. My name is Steve Green and I will be your host. This podcast is brought to you by Elim Christian Center and it's focused around Christian leadership, church leadership, ministry, and life. This is less about me teaching you about leadership, but rather let's have conversations with people we can learn from to help you in your calling and in your walk with the Lord. Enjoy the podcast and enjoy the journey. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Leading Well podcast. This is episode 3, and I'm joined by my very good friend, Mr. Joel Milgate. Joel, welcome to the Leading Well podcast.
Thank you. 3 is my favourite number. I'm
actually
on the best one. No, it's not. I don't think I have a favourite number.
Okay, it could be.
I've just thought that would be a good way to start.
Why not? This is a podcast brought to you by Elim Christian Center, and we just are I'm having conversations with leaders, with people who have been on the journey with ministry and life, and just opening a space where we can just learn, have conversations, and help people walk in the journey that God's got for them, their discipleship journey, but how helping people level up in terms of the call of God upon their life and stepping into that. So, Joel, you're a good friend of Bex and mine, and we've been sort of walking the ministry journey with you guys for, I don't know, what is it, like 10 years or so now. Got to hear about you many years ago and the church you're leading, Curate Church. And I'd love to just start this episode by just diving into your story a little bit. You're an incredibly intellectual, thoughtful guy. There's a real depth to you. There's also a massive shallowness to your life as well, which I've learned to discover through our friendship. But I'd love to hear a bit of your story. Like, where did this all begin for you? Did you kind of grow up in church? Did you see yourself in ministry? How did you end up leading a church, which you led for 20 years, right? Around 20, or you're involved with 20 years. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, you know, I'm the unlikely pastor. It's definitely...
Aren't we all?
Yes, yeah. God tricked me into it. It's how it
Deception.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss, and then he gets you. But I didn't grow up in church or anything like that. My family... We grew up between Wellington and Melbourne. I don't know. I just thought it was like a normal family. Maybe looking back, not so normal. My parents were like hippies. We had a great combi van. I was so embarrassed.
You actually have a combi?
Yeah. And they painted it themselves like a rag roll paint, and I was so embarrassed by it as a teenager. It was like blue and white.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like, Anyway.
Lovely.
That was that was sort of like growing up, and then my mum started becoming interested in things of faith when I became a teenager, and so she started dragging me along to church.
Was this here in New Zealand or in Melbourne?
This is in New Zealand at that stage, and that was not a convenient time for me to want to go to church. I was just starting to spread my wings as a teenager, and so I was being dragged reluctantly to church. And actually I had like a time in my life, probably like 13 or 14, I remember being in a Bible study, and I remember thinking like, if somebody gave an opportunity to respond, I feel ready.
You're ready now, yeah.
I'm ready. It was like a little Bible study of like 15 youth in this little conservative church, but no opportunity came.
Oh, right.
And so that wore off, and I went and did lots of dumb stuff between then and the next time God would get my heart. And so...
So did you feel like at that point you were ready?
I think as much as I knew, which was not a lot.
Yes.
And so... so then that led me to give. Even back then I wouldn't say I gave my life to the Lord. I'm like, I decided to stop running away from him,
right?
And give him a chance. And started, got a Bible, started reading the Bible, and eventually got to the place where I got baptized.
Wow.
And
so it was less like I made a decision in this moment and I got saved there, but it was more like I'm just going to turn back towards God and just go on that journey, and He's going to form me and save me in that process. Yeah,
and I think the church context that I was in, like it was a conservative church, it didn't do things like how Elim would do things, or how like we would do things at Curate. It's like it was different. So I was finding my way to God within the paradigm that was that church, right? And so, and then that led me to, I guess, like I got really excited about things of faith. I was still embarrassed and shy as a teenager. I didn't really want to tell my friends at school, but I was getting excited about the things of faith, and I didn't know what to do when I was finishing up high school. And so I thought, I need to go to Bible college and catch up on all the Sunday school I missed.
You missed, yeah, that's right.
And so that's what I did for the next couple of years. That's what
Really?
moved me to Tauranga. I went through like a pretty intense Bible college program and came out of that probably more confused than ever.
You go in thinking, I know some things, and you come out going, I don't know much at all.
Yeah, I mean, it only took the first week for me to realize I don't know anything. And I knew some things more at the end, and then I had more questions.
Yeah.
And so I continued studying in a few other places. I met my wife over this time. We got married, and we moved to Australia for a few months and we had to move back for some family reasons.
Right.
And as when we moved back, we got invited to this church. It was a vineyard church back then that we would end up being the pastors of. And so we came along to the church and we never left.
Wow. And so that the journey between being invited to go along to this church and then what did church look like for you guys? Like, did you just get involved, start serving, become part of things, lead a small group? Like, what were you guys? You had young kids. Like, you had.
We just had one kid at that stage.
Okay.
Yeah, and we wanted to, wherever we went, we wanted to be involved.
Yep.
And so we got stuck in. I think we started serving, and I started doing food for kids' church.
Right.
We were helping out in the youth group, and just whatever else needed help. And it was something we did together. We'd take our little 2-year-old boy along to youth group. We'd put him to sleep in one of the offices.
Yep.
We'd go hang out with the teenagers.
Every 20 minutes you look in the
that's right.
He's still there good.
Carrying him in his sleeping bag back to the car at the end of the night. And
that's so cool.
But there was no like paradigm of like I wanted to be a professional Christian. I wanted to be a pastor. I never aspired to that. I just wanted to help.
Yeah,
I just wanted to be a part of what God was
good.
doing. And I didn't even know from where I came from that you could do like that pastoring was even a job choice.
Yeah,
so there was no like direction. And even once I started working in church, serving, they offered me a position. One day turned into 2 days, 2 days. I still never aspired to be like a pastor. I just always thought of myself as like, people ask what you're doing. I'm like, I don't know, I help. I just help. And so
it's just that, I guess the simple discipline of saying yes to God in those little steps, right? And I think that's such a powerful framework for all of our faith. It's just like, I don't know, people ask me, how did you get to where you are? I'm 23 years on staff, senior pastor of a church, and I'm like, what did you do to get there? I'm like, I just didn't stop saying yes. Yeah. In fact, I feel like I said yes too many times, and they just end up here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The accidental pastor.
Yeah.
But I think there's something quite beautiful in that, where it's just, God, what are you asking of me next? What are the opportunities before me where I can bless, where I can grow, where I can serve? And you say yes to it, and then you keep saying yes, and you'll be amazed at where God takes you on the journey, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's like, I don't want to diminish having like vision for your life or having dreams. Like, there's nothing wrong with having like good godly ambition.
Yeah.
Like that's fine. But I think we can dial that up a bit too much.
I agree.
And miss the faithfulness of today, because ultimately, like, God asks us to trust Him with tomorrow.
Yes,
He's the God of tomorrow. We're not in charge of tomorrow,
Yeah.
but He entrusts us to today.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we get it like reversed with God, right? We're trying to be like, God, you trust me with tomorrow, and I'll just trust you with today and be lazy or whatever. As opposed to like, well, wherever God has you today, is where He has you.
That's right.
And all you can do is be faithful with it.
That's so good.
And trust Him to open doors or lead you. It's almost like sometimes we're so afraid of not arriving where we want to arrive that we don't fully commit to where we are.
That's right.
But it's actually fully committing to where we are that opens the doors to where you want to go. It's like it's the upside down sort of way.
That's so true. And I think that's a challenge as a leader, because like you can find yourself in leadership spaces where it's like, what's your 20-year vision? Like, what's the 10-year vision for your life or whatever? And I personally, I believe in vision. We've got clear vision, we've got strong vision, but I've always really struggled with that thing. I'm like, I just want to be faithful with what I've got. Like, I just want to love God, serve Him, and do the best I can with what I have. And most of my journey has been a journey of making plans and God changing them.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, God, we're going to do this. And then He's like, cool idea, bro.
Nice, cute plan.
Yeah, lovely. Are you finished? Let's now. And so I think there is there is definitely value and power in kind of go vision, strategy, putting stuff into place that helps grow you to where you need to be. And I think every leader does need to have a vision from God, and they do need to have a sense of what God is asking of them, and a church needs to know, hey, what is it God is asking us to do and be, and to strategize and plan and to work in that space. I think that's incredibly important. Without vision, people perish. There's got to be a sense of prophetic vision. But I think we're kidding ourselves if we think that comes from us.
Oh, totally.
And that we now have to come up with some vision. I don't know if you felt that. I felt so much pressure along the way of like, what's your vision? I'm like, I don't know yet. Like
totally.
I've got a bit of an idea sometimes, but for me, it's taken such a long time to form what I believe God's vision is for us and for our church and for my life.
Yeah. And then you have to separate what part's like redeemed ambition and what part's actually godly vision, or what part is actually like, I just want this to happen. I think you sort of touched on it even there. It's like, we're better off having a vision for who we want to become.
Right.
Like as in like, you got a vision for who Elim can become.
Yes.
And out of who Elim becomes are all the things Elim's going to do.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with being able to name some of the things you want to do in the future and how you want to do them, but it's more important to have a vision for who you're becoming in life.
Right.
And then like, who knows where God will take that who. He cares more about who we are than what we're doing anyway, right?
The book of James is like, stop saying tomorrow we're going here, then we're going to go here. He's like, God willing, he'll have his way. But just we can make all these grand plans and spout from the rooftops. We're gonna. I think again the challenge is with churches, and particularly, I'm thinking particularly from church leadership context. People are like, what's your vision for this year?
Yeah.
And
I don't know, the same thing we were doing last year, make disciples, reach our community, glorify God.
It's the same thing we've done for the last 40 years as a church. The vision hasn't changed. We're still going ahead. But there can be, I think, a unfair pressure on leaders to have like definitive clarity on the exact thing, the vision for now. Straight away, if you're a leader, you should have this great vision. I think my journey, particularly over the last 5 years of becoming senior pastor of this church, has been the formation of, I think, the vision that God has given to us. But I really had a whole lot of pressure early on. I felt like it was mostly internal. Like, come on, bro, you're supposed to
where are we
know.
going, man? Where are we going?
Yeah. And you've got an idea, you've got a sense, you've got some bit of framework to it, but to try and articulate that all in one hit, I just don't think that's not my experience of how God has
And so
outworked
dangerous to say some stuff that God hasn't said.
Yes.
Too, right? Like, I think there is just that obsession with vision being like size, scale, location, program. It's like, you better not say some stuff God hasn't said there. But like if you go like vision for a godly community, that's a witness to the people around us. Like, I can get on board with that because I know that that's God's vision for every church, you know? And we might have a unique way of approaching it, but...
That's right. And growth is God's vision for this world. Like he wants to... He leaves the 99 for the one. That's like God's heart is to continually see the world reached. And as the world is reached, the church will grow. The church should grow, and there should be formation that goes on within that. And so having, I guess a clarity of like, hey, this is where I really believe that God is asking us to go. He wants us to be X number of campuses, and that's what we're gonna go for. Like we're gonna,
because we're missional.
We're positioning ourselves for those things. But I remember I was sitting in a room not that long ago with a bunch of leaders, and the question, we had to go around the room, like, what's the vision for the year? And I'm listening to everyone going, wow, that's cool. Like I'm listening to everyone, and then it got to me and I was just like, look, I don't know, like we're just doing what we've done and God's hands on it, and we're going to keep doing the vision that we've got, and we're going to, but there's no new word for the year. Like it's just...
Well, a new vision every year sounds like going around a go-kart track, and it's pretty hard for a team to do that, right? To keep adapting.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Whereas if you've got a big vision, it's like, well, what are we doing this year? It's like, well, just what steps are we taking towards the unchanging vision?
That's right, yeah. I think that's powerful, eh? So you guys were serving in the church, and then before too long, you actually took it over.
Yeah, about 5 years of sort of like serving and working part-time in the church, and then through a bunch of unfortunate circumstances, the church wasn't going well. Our pastor he wasn't doing so well,
Yeah.
made some dumb choices.
Yeah.
And in the context of losing our building and then losing our pastor, we became pastors.
Wow. And how old were you guys at this point?
25 years old. Just,
Wow.
yeah. spring
25 years
chickens.
old with what, a 4-year-old?
Well, because Katie, like, we're a blended
Yep.
family. So Sandro would have been like, he's almost 9 years old at this
At that
stage.
point,
And then
right.
Micah is 4 years old, which means Charlie's probably, we had Charlie at that stage. He's 1 or
Wow.
2 years old. And it was,
You're
we had our
in
hands
mix,
filled.
bro.
Yeah. Yep.
So-
Ignorance is bliss, man.
Yeah. Stops. You said yes another time.
Yeah.
So then the journey that from there to then you're now stepping in your first leading pastoral role in a church that seems to be in a significant crisis, and you've got to now step in and turn that around.
Yeah.
Aren't you grateful you didn't really know?
Oh, I was so grateful. Like, because I guess, like, it's coming at you so fast.
Yeah.
There's not even a time to, like, take a step back and be like, what's our plan?
Yeah.
What's our vision?
Yeah.
Vision isn't what's needed.
Yes.
Healing's what's needed.
care and
Circling the
grace and
wagons.
yeah.
I remember getting, like, a few key people together. Let's just... what should we do for the next few weeks? Just make lots of phone calls and write lots of cards.
Yep.
People just need love, you
Yep.
know? And so it's like, it's just coming at you and you're sort of reacting and
Yes.
responding. You're trying to communicate transparently, but
Yes.
also like in a loving and a
honoring
covering
way.
way.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're trying to like, in that particular crisis, we're trying to like be very honest with people about why we are where we are.
Yeah.
But then you're also trying to like not blacklist people and be like, hey, like we can be honest about the present,
Yes.
but we can still honor people for their best.
Yes.
Because that's
yeah.
not like these same pastors had sacrificed so
Yeah.
much over years, and like just because you end badly doesn't
negate
even though
all the good.
it can taint it, it shouldn't taint it in our own hearts. We should be
Right.
able to see it all.
I
right?
think, having walked a similar journeys along the way with different churches and campuses we've had, you have to remind people that telling the truth in a loving way is not dishonoring. If something's gone wrong, it's gone wrong. If someone's fallen or failed, they've fallen or they've failed. But we're not just destroying somebody and their whole legacy.
Character assassination. Yeah.
But it's going, how do we hold on to, hey, there was some beauty in the yesterday and in the truth and the goodness that came through there. But then there's also the reality of failing.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you, like, I think we would always say we can be honest about the worst, but we can honor the best.
Yeah, that's great.
And like, they're not in competition.
Yeah.
And actually the Lord, like, it says multiple times in the scripture that he detests dishonest scales.
Yeah.
So this is why self-righteous judgment is really horrible to the
Yeah.
Lord and to our own souls, right? Because
Wow.
it's dishonest scales, because you choose to only see the worst in people
Wow.
without seeing the best. And if you're going to expose the
Yeah.
worst, you need to expose the best
Yeah.
too, and because that's honest scales.
That's right.
So-
And like you look at it, Jesus is the full embodiment of grace and truth. And that's the measures of which we're supposed to outwork leadership. There is truth, you messed up.
Yeah.
But there is grace, hey, we're not throwing the baby out the bathwater. And there's restoration, there's accountability, but we still love you. There's still a human being standing in front of us.
Yeah.
And I love that when you look at even the Paul and Barnabas split that took place in the book of Acts, you're like, what? Like, this is chaos. These two guys are serving God. And then the Bible says there's such a sharp disagreement that they have to part company. And, and part of the disagreement was that Mark had let them down. And Barnabas is like, he's done. No way. And then, so Paul's like, he's done. I'm done with this guy.
Yeah.
And then Barnabas is like, no, let's bring him. So even in that moment, you got, there's truth. Yeah, he messed up. And there's consequence. Yeah. And then there's grace. But that's not who he is. I believe that he could still be a great asset. And then, and so you see that embodiment in the two responses. So,
and then you get redemption later in that story,
right.
right? Where like later Paul goes, "Send me Mark.
Yeah,
I need him.
I need Mark. Yeah, I need Mark." But even in that, that disagreement, it actually, there's a measure of grace and truth is shown in that story, in the responses of Paul and Barnabas together, not in isolation. In isolation, there's no balance, but together there's actually a wholeness to it. But then in that, there is now a multiplication of the work of the kingdom, because their disagreement did not distract from the purpose, right? They both went strengthening the churches and encouraging. Yeah. So then, Paul takes Silas, Barnabas takes Mark. So what was 2 people on one journey became 4 people on 2 journeys. So you can see God outworking his plan and his purpose and all of that, which is pretty amazing.
It's incredible.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. So you guys are now leading the church.
Yeah.
Talk us through the next season for you.
Well, the next little bit was pretty discouraging.
Right.
My first few months of being a pastor was pretty much just meeting with people so they could tell me they're leaving the church.
That's wonderful. How good.
It's super, and I understand, right? It's a church that's found itself in a difficult spot. It's got a 25-year-old pastor. It's pretty, people want stability and safety from their church. They don't need it. They don't need another mess. They don't need another mess to clean up, in their life. Yeah. And so I don't hold it against anyone, but it was, it was hard on the heart, for sure.
And how do you because I think in everyone's leadership journey, discouragement is such a significant part of the journey.
Yeah.
And I know this is just this is week 1 of pastoring for you, and there's discouragement. But I, having known some of your story, but not all of it, I can guarantee you that every year following, there was some very significant discouragement that took place. And how do you, as a leader, manage that part of the call?
Yeah, I think for me, that's one of the toughest parts, right? I'm not like your most pastoral, empathetic person naturally, but I do feel deeply, and I really love people, and I'm really loyal to people. Yes. And so when people leave for all sorts of reasons, it's
it hurts.
It really does hurt, and it takes me a long time to get over it, you know? And so I think in those early years, on that early season, I didn't know any better. I hadn't had a lot of accumulation of that yet. Yep. So it was a little bit more Teflon probably back then.
Right, yeah. And at the end of the day, you didn't make that mess. So it's not really a you
That's
issue.
Right. It's not I didn't take it personally. There's plenty of things later on I took personally, and I should take personally. Heaps of it was my fault, and so that. But in that time, and then after a few months, I sort of hit rock bottom of 50, I would say 50 mostly hurting, broken people.
Lovely. What a church.
Distrustful of leadership.
What a church.
Been, betrayed by their previous pastor with a 25-year-old pastor and his family. And they don't want vision. They don't want to go anywhere. No. And I can tell you, because they all became very good friends, they all wanted to leave too, but they'd all prayed about it, and God said no. And because God's a redeeming God, right? There's not a situation he can't redeem. And what followed over the next 10 years or whatever, just like a sovereign thing of God, right? Yep. It's just did we do some semi-smart things? Maybe. But I don't, 1 + 1 doesn't equal what happened. And so God just began, he first breathed healing on that group of people.
Yeah, so
and there's some significant moments of just God showing up in our services. Yep. There was doors opened providentially for new facility.
Wow.
God brought some really key people along that hadn't been a part of that journey, that just were we're here, how can we help? And just bring in some and those things combining, just God began to move, and things began to grow, and we spent the next 10 years trying not to stuff it up.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it too, right? The sense that, we use wisdom, we bring strategy, we learn how to organize, we learn how to grow, what it takes to grow. There's some key ingredients that will cause a church to grow. They're not the only ingredients, but there are some key things that healthy, growing churches, they have a decent structure and values around certain things. But then within that, there is probably 90% of it is just God moved.
Oh.
God just was I'm going to breathe on this.
And you want it that way, right? I don't want to go I know how to grow God's church, because then it's it ruins all the mystery of it.
That's right.
The mystery is the the special stuff that we all live for. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely, bro. That's so good. And I think then you go your guys' journey going forward. As church life and ministry life goes, plenty ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
Growth years, decline years, fruitful years where it's like
expansions, contractions, contractions,
a few of those too.
Yeah. You know, bringing people through too fast, too slow, releasing the wrong kind of people, not dealing with the right kinds of things.
Wow.
All of it.
So let's talk about that, bro. Like, let me ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Milgate's greatest failings.
Yeah. Oh,
along that.
I don't think we have long enough in this podcast.
It's a long form conversation. We'll pick up part 5 tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's often we talk about, this is what I did and made me successful as a leader. Yeah. But what was it that you're like, oh man, that was a lesson I had to learn the hard way, and those were some of the things I wish I could redo.
Yeah, I've got a long list.
I really think that I've learnt the most from watching not just people's successes and what they do well, but also going, oh man, that hurt. There was a failing there, and you learn off that, and your own as well. And if you're not learning off your own failures, then you're a bit of a dummy.
Yeah.
You got to be able to go, okay, didn't work, got that wrong. How do I do it better? So particularly around the area of, like you were saying about releasing people too quickly or those kinds of things. And this is the challenge. Like, we're trying to raise people to follow Jesus and to serve him and to accelerate into the call of God upon their life. Man, it's a difficult journey. So Joel Milgate's top 5 greatest failings. I think this is good clickbait. This is going to get people listening. What was this confession time? Here we go.
I'll name the 5 people. And then, no, just kidding around. But the failings, I would say, in no particular order.
Yeah.
I think when things were growing like fast, there's this pressure to keep up with it and to keep it going. And that pressure, it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
But it also can mean, like, in hindsight, shortcuts were taken. So, like, when ministry's expanding so quickly, you have to keep putting new people into positions to sustain that. Whether that's just we need, on a basic level, we need more small groups.
Yeah.
And so you have to release new small group leaders, ready or not.
Yeah.
Here comes a new group leader, trustworthy or not. Like, well, that same dynamic plays out in whole departments, in staffing positions. And so there becomes this, like, we were growing way faster than our ability to produce people that had our heart, our culture, and so we were raising people up, but they weren't raised enough, right? It's like putting a 10-year-old in a position as opposed to a 25-year-old, in the natural.
Totally.
And it's not that they were childish. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like they didn't have enough time with us.
Yes.
And then when it's fast, I'm doing so many different things that then I'm not pouring the time. I'm not going deep enough with the right group of people so that there can be a release. So it becomes like a spiral.
Yes, because there was a real season there for you guys of just accelerated exponential growth. I remember watching that from afar going, man, something's going on at Curate Church down in Total. You guys were going into campuses. You guys went multi-site. You had like a rapidly growing main campus there in the Mount. You'd planted Auckland. Like, there was just I remember following you on Insta, and we were kind of friends then. We're more friends now. I'm no longer threatened by you because you don't lead a church, so that's why we can be friends. No, and I remember like you're flying here, you're preaching here, preaching there, running the session. Like, it was just like boom, 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 boom. But that was probably the season that led you to go, I don't think this is sustainable for where we're going.
Yeah, I think there's a big part of it. And then if you make those mistakes for long enough, like for me, those are the mistake. I made the mistake of being in too much of a hurry, expanding widely without putting the right amount of investment into the depth. Of the team and of the people. Cracks quickly start emerging, but I'll solve the cracks with the next person off the turnstile, right? You know, so it's like you solve the crack with the next cab off the rank,
Right.
and you just repeat the same problem.
Wow.
And the other big part of the failing that comes into this is I just like hate confrontation.
Right.
I hate conflict. Like conflict around ideas, like I can handle. Like I could knock out with whatever, you know, but like when the people that matter to me and there's relationship,
conflict, right?
And somebody's not aligned and I need to bring, like I hate bringing correction. I just like hate it so much. But so what would happen is the other thing is like I thrive by somebody giving me space to figure it out.
Okay.
And so like I want to be like a hands-off leader. But you can't be a hands-off leader, it turns out. So it's like, oh no, they'll figure it out.
Yes.
They'll figure it out. Give them space,
give them time.
Like my gift was like I give opportunities. But I realized those opportunities need to come with equal measure of clarity,
framework,
equal measure of like correction, of love, support, encouragement, all of those things. And I just wasn't good at that.
Right.
And so it easily created like then things would boil up of becoming unaligned. And because I hadn't had the 10 conversations I should have had previously, now I've got to have a really big one and it's emotionally charged and I'm not good at if I'm not good at having the small ones, I'm definitely not going to be good in that one. And that's going to cause like the worst in me is going to come out. It's going to be harmful to others. And so then you create these little things that become big explosions, right?
That's right.
Or things have gone so far that there's no coming back now. And we had a few significant relationships in places where, you know, that's not all of it. But where those were significant contributing factors that I need to own that, you know, led to that I wouldn't do again.
Yes.
You know?
So going back in time, it would be the quick, difficult conversation as opposed to the drawn out, even worse conversation 5 months down the track.
Yeah.
Like communication.
When no one wins.
Of course, no one wins. Yeah. Because communication, it's the answer to most of the issues you've got within an organization or within a church or a ministry context. I'm similar, bro. I hate conflict. I don't like it. I've had to learn to be okay with having difficult conversations. What do you think for you is the reason you don't like those? Like, what's the why underneath it? I'm not your counselor. This is not the Living Well podcast. This is Leading Well. But what is underneath it for you? Is it fear?
I think it's a mixture of things. Like I think it's like, it's wanting to be liked. I want to be the nice person. I want to be the person that's like, helping you go up levels and like, you know, being that. I really struggle with the uncomfortableness of having to say something challenging.
Yes.
And just leave that hanging.
Yeah, that's tough.
And sometimes with leaders, it needs to be not just left hanging in the conversation. Sometimes it have to be left hanging for a few days. You don't really know how they're feeling about you. Right. And they might not be feeling that great about you as they process it. Just like those are some unbearable feelings, right? You know, hard. And so I think it comes down to that.
Particularly if you're a people pleaser and you want people to like you, the thought that someone is walking around not happy with you or like it eats your soul.
Yeah.
I've got mates who just live for conflict, you know, just love it. They have no problem with it. And I just think to myself, dude, it's just not in me.
Yeah.
But this is that place of leadership where it is not what you are comfortable with, but what is required of you to steward well what God has given to you.
It's a necessary, like conflict is a necessary leadership skill.
It's a necessary relational skill.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like imagine if you avoid every conversation with your wife, all you're going to build is resentment and bitterness and division within your relationship.
Yeah.
So the same is true within an organization. And what you tolerate is kind of what you cultivate, right?
Yeah.
So if you just tolerate that person doing that thing or that behavior or that culture or that whatever it is within a team for long enough, it just cultivates that behavior. And it is the role of a leader to step in and go, hey, early, kindly, graciously, with a pastoral hat on, hey man, that's not, I've noticed this, talk to me about it. That's just not how we operate, you know? And that, although it's hard and awkward, that's a much better place to begin that conversation than, I'm sure they'll get there.
Yeah.
Look, and then all the rest of the team are going, bro, like everyone's feeling this, you know?
I think there's probably like two other elements to it in the sense of like when then that conflict's not happening, I'm also worse off as a leader.
That's exactly right.
Because it's in those conflict conversations that feedback is able to run both ways, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a whole nother podcast talking about how to do feedback well. But like, if I'm not having those confronting conversations with people, it probably also means that they're not being had with me.
Exactly.
And so I'm not growing as quickly as I should be growing. And so there's inadequacies in me allowing to be perpetuated too. And I think the other element is just being a young leader.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't know, I didn't always know what I wanted until I saw what I didn't want.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can identify with this a little bit. So it's like, it's hard
guess and check.
Yeah, it's like, I want to train you and give you feedback for you to be great at it, but I don't, it's intuitive to me. I don't know how to say it to you. I don't know until you do it wrong.
Right.
What I want. And so like, does that sort of make sense? I think it took a lot of years for me to even just like get confidence and clarity on what I should train people in or like how to articulate this but that's just part of being thrust in it young. And that's not an excuse. It's just a recognition of it.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, with that feedback thing you were talking about, like if we're not willing to have those conversations with people, then we also, and I think those conversations with people around areas they might be failing or confrontational moments, it's that opportunity for you to understand, how do I lead this person better? I'm not just going to hit you because I'm the leader, I'm going to hit you up because you're not performing to my standard, but maybe I'm part of this problem. Like maybe there's something I've done. I always think about when Jesus talks about don't worry about the splinter in your brother's eye, you've got a log in your own eye. And I always think to myself, well, where do splinters come from? They come from logs. So maybe my log is hitting people upside the head and giving them splinters. And so maybe the bigger issue is actually I'm treating people badly, or I'm not understanding what's going on, or I'm assuming stuff that they don't know, I haven't developed them in, and it's just causing them to have these splinters of bad culture, but I'm part of the creation of it. So it's having that humility and willingness to go, hey, I want to learn too, and I want to grow, and I'm open to having this conversation.
So true.
I think there's 4 failings, bro. You got one more.
Well,
come on, man.
I've got 100 more probably. I think as well in that is like not being, you know, the book Good to Great talks about the need for discipline thought, discipline action. Now I'm like a pocket rocket sort of a person,
right?
You know, like, so I'm like, I've got 1,000 ideas.
You're an ideas guy. That's the thing I've learned about you. You are a thinker. You're an ideas guy. You're quite entrepreneurial and innovative in what you're doing. So I can imagine you're just like, let's go. Yeah,
and so, that's, I don't know, at different sizes of an organization that has different benefits. It's a strength. I'm not trying.
Yes, it is.
But the failing for me is not reining that in and taming that to have more of a disciplined approach to go like, okay, we're in ideation phase for this year.
Right.
Cool, let's come up with the ideas. Let's discern the ideas.
Yes.
Let's rally the people around the ones that we go with. And then let's just stick with them until they're done.
Yeah, right.
And yet we can iterate, but like executing an average plan is better than abandoning like a really, you know, like then abandoning and changing and never finishing things. And so I think my personality, like, was too dominant in the way it ends up leading. And so, you know, so much of my work with pastors now is teaching, because lots of pastors are idea people. So I can see it as like looking in the mirror and I'm like, don't do that. Just trust me. Like, just
keep your mouth shut for a little while.
Hold all those ideas till the next phase. They're good. But like, let's just let your team finish the last ones you came up with. And then we're not overwhelming the team, or we're not always chasing the new thing. there would be a more consistency. And I
Totally.
think, so, you know, it was like a go-kart track. It became a little bit like
Wow.
that because there's so many opportunities,
Yes,
so
of
much. And
course.
like
Yep.
for a time there's just so much favor. It's like everything we put our hand to turns to gold. Let's
Boom.
just keep
Yeah.
putting our
Yeah,
hands
yeah,
to
yeah,
things
yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to like, okay, we're getting to the size now. We need to do less.
Yep.
We need to just calm this thing way down.
Yep.
We need to slow it down.
Yes.
And so it's just too slow to adapt.
Yeah, I think I'm probably I'm a mild ideas guy, but I'm definitely not the same as you. And I've worked with others who are, and it's quite exhausting working with somebody who is the ideas guy like that, and for a team working under them they lose clarity, they lose intentionality of where are we putting our time, where are we putting our focus. And then there's a little bit of a loss of credibility when all you have is more and more ideas, because we didn't even do the thing and you forgot about the idea you
totally
raised
forgot
last
about it.
week.
Yeah.
And now we're doing something else, so we don't know what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I guess my experience is also maybe 1 in 20 is a good idea.
Maybe. You can make them all sound good.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean
but
they
the
are all
reality
good.
is, they're not. They're cool ideas, but they're not all going to be executable and also beneficial. But in your mind, and this is the thing with ideas people, sometimes in their mind, they're not saying we have to do this forever. It's just, I'm throwing ideas out. But you've got a team around you that's going, so is that what we're doing now? Is that, do we have to execute all these things? And now it's just, so I think it's the idea people are phenomenal because they will bring that idea that can really shift something, that can really take you to a new level, or can look at something from a different angle that you haven't considered or thought about before. But it's trying to, for me as leaders, trying to coach those guys, give them a framework within which they can be the best ideas, creative person, creative leader that they can be. So I remember one of our team, I would say, hey man, I want you to, all these ideas, I want you to write them all down and I want you to send them to me in an email. And then we're just going to marinate on them for a while. And then we'll circle back and we'll see which ones stick. And just to give that time between, I've got an idea, now I'm going to articulate it. Most of the ideas died.
Yeah.
Because they moved on to something else. But then there were a couple, it was like, that's gold. Let's run with that. But just to give that buffer of time and a bit of marinating on these wonderful ideas, it just was enough. And it was enough to just slow the process and slow their thinking. Because again, as a leader, you just want to do, man. Let's go.
Totally.
And it's a sense of calling too, right? Like the kingdom is advancing, God's building his church, lost people are out there, we can make a difference. You're so passionate about it, but it is, the more, I guess, we go along on the leadership journey, you realize less is more.
Yeah, it totally is, right? The good is the enemy of the great.
Yep.
And yeah, it's how do you like, I just think of like all my one-on-ones with my reports over the years, and it's like, I know what I was doing wrong. I'm like, I know I need to be like, let's check in on the progress.
Yes.
Tell me about your roadblocks.
Yep.
I know it, and I'll be like, cool, I'll get reset. And I'll do that for like 3 meetings,
And then
3
you're
weeks
done.
or 6 weeks,
Yep.
or however often I meet with them. And I'm like, this is so boring.
Yeah, I know.
But good leadership is boring,
It
right?
is, it is.
And I would just want to be like, what else could we do?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
it's like, either I needed to just change or I need to bring the right person
People,
alongside to be like, cool, once we're in this phase of work, once we've decided
Yes.
what we're doing, I need to let somebody else step in and like manage it to
That's right.
completion.
That's right.
Because I'm going to mess with it,
Yes.
not manage it.
'Cause
And that's unhelpful.
Good leadership requires, here's the measurable, here's what we're doing today, I'm keeping you accountable, are you hitting that target,
Clarity,
are you moving it
commitment,
forward, I'm probably pretty similar like that. I get bored of those, one-on-one check-ins. It's like, it's the same, like let's just move on. But it's about understanding, where am I good, where am I strong, where am I weak, what are the things for that I, as a leader, only I can do in the organization or in the ministry or in the church. And so I will bring around me people who can carry those other bits so that I don't become the thing that stifles the growth and stifles the productivity and causes the frustration within the team. It's crazy to think that leaders could be frustrating their team, eh?
Right, I think
What an unbelievable thought.
almost every team I work with, the leader is of some level frustrating the team.
Yeah.
And I think it's not...
It's unavoidable.
Yeah, but if you're unaware of it,
Yes.
is the danger, right?
Yes.
And if it's like a taboo subject where we can't, that's a team of no trust. That's a
That's right.
team of false harmony.
Yes.
That's not what we're talking about here.
Yes.
It's like, leader, you're supposed to frustrate the team because you, as a leader, you're the agitator, you're the activator, you're the one that keeps everyone elevating.
That's
and that
right.
can be frustrating
Yes.
at times, but like you should be aware of it, of when to use that and when to not.
Very
and
good.
when, you know,
Very
so
good.
it's not all bad. You know?
And I think that self-awareness of what parts of me are frustrating at people, what parts of me aren't as strong as they could be or should be, and what parts of my personality just kind of lean this way. And I think it's a powerful thing to make people aware of that. Hey guys, we all know I'm not good at this, and this. I'm working on it, but I need you to hold me to account and call it out, and let's work together, and let's be aware that I'm aware.
Yeah.
And you're aware, and so let's just work together to make ourselves better.
Yeah.
That's so good, dude. Let's talk about your preaching and no, actually, before we go there, can we talk about this new season for you guys? So, how long has it been? 12 months?
Yeah, 15 maybe.
15 months ago, you transitioned out of the leadership of your church after serving on the team for 20 years or so, and you've stepped into a whole new season. As a family and as leaders. Can you talk us through that and also the tension as you felt like, hey, the season of leading this church that we've known for 20 years and poured everything of our lives into it, and our kids have raised in it, and all the successes and failures. Like we talked about your failures, but you guys did some phenomenal stuff, and God used you, and it was a move of God, and it is still a move of God. But that transition of identity, I'm no longer a pastor of a church.
Yeah.
My job is gone.
Yeah.
I'm moving into the unknown, trusting God in the gap of, all right, I feel you calling me into something. I do not know what that is, and you haven't really told me what that is either, God, but I'm going to step and believe that you're good and you're going to have your way. Talk us through all that, man, because that's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, like probably there's probably seeds of it that go back even further, but for at least 2 years before we ended up finishing up, we'd felt a strong stirring to something apostolic.
Right.
And that word can mean a lot of different things. It's not necessarily my favorite word, but to ministry that invested far beyond the church that we led, but really invested in other churches.
Yes.
And we'd received a bunch of prophetic words. We'd been working it through with our team, like some of our senior staff, our board, our elders. And we were been exploring for a couple of years, okay, what would it look like to free up Joel and Katie to step more into this thing that we all recognize is on them, and how do we position things for that to happen? Now, while we're exploring all of that, just sort of felt like one drama after another. And it's some of those failures coming back to roost, you know. And a lot of that, ultimately we finished up because we felt like that's what the Lord said to us. And we didn't make that decision lightly. We felt like we were going to be the pastors of that church until we retired from pastoring. We didn't make that decision alone. We made it with all of our spiritual oversight. And in fact, we were not willing to make that decision with some of the spiritual oversight. We're like, we wonder if God's saying this to you.
Wow.
And that sort of pushed us to have the permission to really ask that of the Lord, and led to us all unanimously coming to the conclusion that the right thing was to transition the church and to move into whatever that space is that God's calling us into. We thought we could do both. And in some ways, like with the safety net and security of still being local pastors, while we dabbled and explored this thing that we didn't know what would look like, turns out God had a much more dream. But at the same time, things had gotten really, like, not difficult as in, like, I'm not a fair weather sailor, but like where it felt like the grace to lead had run out. And that was both like from the Lord, but also from the people for all sorts of reasons. And we felt like if the church was to keep moving forward, it reached a lot of people, it done a lot of good. We didn't want to get in the way of it moving forward. And so if the only way it could move past where it was somebody else coming in, then we're happy to fall on our swords and move on, you know, because we just love the church.
Yes.
And we love what
you want, and you want the best for it.
The best for it. And if we're not what's best for it anymore, then okay. So we came to that decision, navigated all of that, and it was way more disorientating than I thought it would be. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but like grief, identity. Like I thought I'd done lots of like inner work of like I'm not
a
what
child of God.
Yeah, I'm not what I do.
I'm not
just,
what I do.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
more than just
I'm
being
a
a
son
pastor
of
of a
God.
church.
I'm a husband. I'm a friend. I'm a father. Whatever. But it turns out like no, because I've been a pastor in all my formational years in this church.
Right.
It's more entangled than I could ever have imagined.
Yeah.
And then not only that, we didn't like leave with financial security.
Right.
We left with a bunch of disappointment around that.
Wow.
We didn't leave with like a job, like in the future. We didn't leave with necessarily a whole bunch of like apostolic demands or itinerant opportunities. It's like we left because we had a word.
Yeah.
Not demand on our
you left
time.
with 4 kids
with the mortgage
and a mortgage.
And like, and so it was like having to learn to listen to all my own sermons over the years, over again.
That's it.
And
you
thank the Lord for it.
realize in those moments, oh, now I really believe what I preached.
Yeah.
And now that really means something to me.
Yep.
You know, those messages you preach on trusting God.
Totally.
And the
Faith.
God in the gap. And like, you know, like
step out of the boat.
Yeah, the purpose and the thorn. You know, it's like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's what that really looks like now. And I guess it's a part of that is also, it's God bringing you back to that place of trust and surrender and obedience. It's like, okay, if you lose it all, would you still trust him? Do you still, at the core of your being, believe that God is good and he's good to you and he's got good for you in your life? I bet that was both scary but also quite exciting.
Yeah, depending on the day or on the hour.
On the hour. Between 9 and 3, I was okay, but
I would find out to have like, I'd go through patches. It'd be like 2 weeks where I'd be mostly excited. Yeah. And then I have 2 weeks where I'd be like, oh no, we should go and get our job back. Right. Have we done the right thing? Yeah. Like, are you going to come through, God? And then get back in the word and like, you know, get your faith back up. It was just sort of like, you know, it started quite extreme and then,
mellowed out a bit more. As things became clearer.
As it becomes, and it just, look, we're used to having a regular paycheck. Like just like on the fundamental things, right? So I didn't have to think about that. Now I'm literally living by faith.
Yeah, wow.
You know, like I was like,
whatever
I don't
opportunities
have that.
might come, whatever conversations.
We had some mentors that were like, yeah, you just need to learn to like wonder how God's going to do the miracle this month, not if he's going to do the miracle.
Wow.
You know, and so we're still here and haven't missed a payment on the house. And,
come on, man.
You know, so
good, bro.
And still following the word, and we're loving the season.
Yes,
still have times where I like am grieving or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Overall, loving the season, and finding it a real privilege.
Oh, dude, it's so good, and it's so good to see you in it. But how do you? Because I think this is a relevant topic for everybody. How do you manage what I would describe as trying not to create Ishmael when God's got for you Isaac? You know, that promise of, hey, God's got it for you. And particularly around like the provision in your life and your family. Because if I was in your space, I would be listing every idea, every scam, everything I could do to make money. I would be thinking about all, and I know my own tendency would be, I need to try and create what I believe God has asked of me or calling me into. So I'll be sending out all the email, hey guys, I'm available to preach if you would like to have me. You know, I'm going to be in
Do you like
Wellington.
Getting those messages?
Yeah.
Pastor's worst nightmare.
Oh my gosh. But I think that's a real tension for everybody. It's like, you know, you're trusting God, but there's that real tension to try and make it happen yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the tension is real.
Yeah.
I think like a couple of things, like we decided we're ministry people.
Yeah.
And so while we weren't against the idea of business, we own a small business, there's sorts of things. I'm not anti that. I'm okay with bivocational, but we decided that's not a path we're going down in this season as our primary focus. Our primary focus is what the Lord's called us into. That's the big rock.
Yep.
How can we help pastors serve churches? Then I also went, I don't want to sell myself. Part of that's like the Kiwiness, that's a very, but also part of it is just like, I don't want to be a consultant or a coach trying to be a consultant and coach. Like there's something repulsive to me about that. It's just, that's not consistent with my values and my relational nature. So I have to do this in a way that's authentic to me.
Totally.
So I'm like,
you don't want to violate what God's called you to be and how He's made you.
I need to be wise. Like I need to think about what services I'm going to offer and how I'm going to offer them and that sort of thing. But like then I had to go, well, how am I going to get clients? What is ministry going to look like in this season? And I had to go, you know what? I'm going to pray them in.
Great.
I'm not going to sell them in.
Yeah,
and
great.
I have my notebook. I have this habit every year where I write down my prayers for the year on the back page of the notebook, and prayers get added and prayers get crossed off as the year goes, but that's what I pray. Most days of the week I go, I mean, by this point of the year, I've got the notebook very memorized, but one of those things is like, Lord, bring us who you want us to help.
Yep.
And the other thing I did is I didn't want to turn people away because they couldn't afford our fee or they couldn't whatever. So I was just like, Lord, whoever you bring me, I'll help. Whether they can afford it or not.
Yeah.
And so that's been the policy that we've run that part of our ministry with is like, I pray for the people to come. Like if people's like introduce me to someone, I'll foster that connection. I'll help them. I'll connect with them. I'll pray for them. I'll do whatever, regardless of whether or not they want official help. I just love helping. And so that's it served us okay so far. So I'll keep going with the approach.
But I think that is a very good and very biblical model of how you outwork the plan of God in your life. It is not for gain. It is to bless. That's the goal. Like, okay, God, who do you want me to bless? Bring to me the people you want me to help. Bring me to the people that you want me to bless. Like one of the great major shifts I found in my own preaching when I preach, my mind shift went from, I hope I preach well today, to I hope I bless some people.
Bless, not impress.
I just want to bless people. The pressure's off me, and I don't care about what people think about me. It's just, I just want to be a blessing. Joel, I want to land it with this. There's something I've noticed you doing, and I wanted to ask you about it. So you've spoken for us a few times along the way, and every time I've been with you before you preach, you have a moment where you get on your knees, and I don't know what you're doing, but I've noticed a pattern. I'm watching you, bro. It's not creepy, but I'm watching you. What is that? What is that moment? Is it a moment of surrender? Is it a moment of acknowledgement of God in your life? And
I pray the same prayer and recite the same scriptures every time. The reason for the moment is because you can enter that sanctuary, that auditorium in a lot of different states. You know, you do it a lot, you can feel all different things. And sometimes you're excited and sometimes you're not. And sometimes you're still trying to work out your content. And sometimes you just believe in God. You know God's going to move. And sometimes you're like, gosh, I just hope God turns up in the worship right now when we don't have to preach,
Sometimes you had an argument with your wife and your kids and you just walked in the room, you're like, oh man, I've got to put that aside and get...
Or stuff's happening in the service that's distracting you and getting you frustrated or whatever it is. So that's been a habit I've kept for at least 10 years of like reciting the same scriptures and praying the same prayers because I want to get up in the same way.
Great.
And I want to serve through the word in the same way. So I won't labor the whole thing, but like the first part is all about praying for boldness. And I recite all of the scriptures about the power of God's word. And I remind myself that the power, if there's going to be any power in this moment, it's not me. It's God's spirit and God's word. So I'm like, Lord, the word of the Lord is alive and active. It's sharper than a
two-edged sword.
It's useful for building up. And then I'm into Jeremiah. May the word build up and tear down. And then I'm like, it never returns void.
I love it. Yeah.
Lord, give me a boldness for you. Give me 100% trust. Get me out of the way. Get your word for it. So I'm praying. I'm that whole thing. Then I pivot to, God, I need the anointing. I need the Spirit to come upon me now. I don't want to get up with talent. I want to get up with the gift of preaching and teaching, anointed by God for these particular people. So I'm just like, do it again, Lord. I'm praying in tongues. I'm
don't let me get up alone, God. Like I'm not getting up alone.
So that my first thing is own it. Like that's my cue. This bit is feel it. God, come upon you. I want to feel it.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't mean I always do. But there is
a faith in that.
It's just my little mental cue of like,
I'm not getting up alone.
I'm not.
I need God.
This is not Joel. This has to be the Spirit of God. Then chase it is my next one.
Okay.
So it's like, God, we've got a plan, but give me a sensitivity to the flow of your Spirit in this room.
In this moment,
That even as I work my way through what's planned, that I might know where to push and pull, what to emphasize, what to sit on. And then my last bit is actually enjoy it. But what my prayers in this moment are like, thank you for the people that are here. And this is about emptying of self, right? Getting focus off self. Thank you for the people that are here. And I start thinking of the different stories that I know are going to be there. There's somebody giving God one last shot. There's somebody that's prayed for 10 years to get someone to church that day, and they're there.
Yeah, bro.
There's somebody hurting. There's somebody celebrating. There's somebody who fought on the way to church with their spouse. There's somebody who's lonely. And I just start imagining, and I'm praying for these people. Lord, would these people get something from you in this moment? And that's why I say enjoy it, is I'm like, just thank you for the privilege that I would get to teach this. May I enjoy the privilege of it. So good,
bro.
And then when I feel like I'm ready from there, I stand back up, and then the last thing I do before I get on stage is just like try to leave me behind.
You're great.
Not leave my personality. That's not what I'm talking about. Just like make it not about my ego.
No ego. Yeah. This isn't about me looking good. This isn't about me preaching an awesome message. All the things probably you and I valued.
All the young people stuff.
All the things we valued in our 20s, you realize they're of no value. They're of no significance. Actually, can I die to me that Christ would manifest in me and through my life to bless these people and help them to know him. You and I are not the heroes of the story, bro. No. Jesus is. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your friendship.
You too,
I'm grateful for your investment into the life of our church. And hey, if people are listening to the podcast and they did want to reach out to you and hear more, or maybe reach out to have you impart and input into their life, where could they find you?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you. Online, I guess
like
Instagram or joelmilgate.com. Yes, I have a website. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's probably up to date.
Yeah. You're on Insta. You're on Facebook.
I am, because I'm old enough to be on Facebook.
Amen.
Still,
are you on MySpace? Bebo? Where are you at?
I never had a Bebo.
Didn't you?
I had a MySpace for a tiny
Praise
bit,
God
but I
for
didn't for like 1 minute.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So check him out. joelmilgate.com. Go onto Insta.
Yeah.
Give him a follow. We love you. We love you and Katie. Your family's awesome, and we're grateful for you. Thank you, bro.
Thank you. Elim's like my second family now.
Mate, we'll adopt you. God bless. Enjoy the episode and enjoy next time.